You will all have access to this in your Gen Suite accounts. And what we'll be doing today is giving you a real basic run through and explanation of exactly what each application is and its benefits that it can give not only you, but your sites as well. So we sent this email invitation off to all of the Saint-Gobain site leads. We had a lot of participants on our morning call today. This is our afternoon call. We have 2 additional trainings exactly like this coming up on Thursday. The next one will be Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and again Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time as well. So while we're going through today, and especially once we're off of this call, if you have any questions in specific, or maybe you want to see another part of the platform, feel free to join us on one of those calls on Thursday. You can bring your questions to us then, or you will all have my contact information, and a copy of these slides and a recorded version of this webinar will also be sent out to you as well. So if you have questions, feel free to jump on another call or keep an eye out for all of the follow-up information that I'll be sending out once we're done with our training sessions. So thank you all again for joining, and if I do see additional people are jumping on to our training this afternoon, we'll try our best to catch them up to the point where we are at. But today's call, real nice and easy. We'll go through, we'll outline the application basics, and then we'll jump online and show you around the tools and everything that they have to offer. And joining me today is Darren Chen. He's one of our lead business analysts, and I always like to refer to him as our Reg Auditor and Reg Tracker master back here. So you will be in great hands with him. And as you can probably tell, here's my mugshot. I'm Taylor Brooks. I'm the Saint-Gobain service delivery lead back here at Gen Suite. So I've been with the team for right about 10 months now, and I've partnered almost specifically and directly with Jonathan Sidler. He's a regional EHS manager for Saint-Gobain. So my role back here and really my day-to-day is to make sure that your business is getting absolutely everything out of the applications and tools that you subscribe to on the Gen Suite platform. And I've worked really heavily with Jonathan here over the past month or two to make sure everything has been loaded into the system as it comes to regulations, Reg Tracker, Reg Auditor, and it's been a blast working with him. And of course, outside of Reg Tracker and Auditor, all of the other applications and tools that we have and how we customize them for sites and customize them for Saint-Gobain's needs. So that's really my background here at Gen Suite. And I mentioned before, we're also joined by Darren Chen, who's the master regulator back here. So Darren, if you're on the line, feel free to unmute yourself, say hey to everyone. It looks like we have right about 24, 25 participants on the call. So Darren, feel free to say hey to everyone.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Darren Chen. I'm a lead business analyst here at Gen Suite. I've been with our company for going on 3 years now. So today I'll be taking everyone through the Reg Auditor and the Reg Tracker training courses. We have a small schedule here. So after introductions, we'll be going over Saint-Gobain's expectations of use, what we're expecting users to be able to do after this training. And then we'll provide you some information and an online demonstration of the 2 applications, both Reg Tracker and also Reg Auditor. And we'll have time for questions and answers afterwards. But do feel free do go on ahead. If you have questions during the training, just feel free to ask it. You can unmute yourself and speak up. We also have a chat feature if you want to just type in any of your questions as well, and you can send it over to us and we'll answer them along the way. So definitely we have plenty of time for questions typically. So feel free to ask away until you really understand it.
And I am standing by for those chat questions. So feel free to shoot them over my way and we can address them as they come up. So don't be shy in the slightest. It's open Q&A, so you can treat the end of our call sort of as a town hall. So any questions that you have, feel free to ask. That's why we're here. It's always fun.
Great. To start off, we do have some expectations provided to us by Jonathan Sittler to hope to convey to everyone. So So for the Reg Tracker application, this is the application that we'll be using to track new regulatory updates, and pretty much you get information on new regulatory updates for your state or province, or for your federal U.S. or Canada regulations. Today we'll be going over things such as how to set up quick views for yourself, so you can quickly get to the regulatory updates that are applicable to you and your site, how to flag any regulations for follow-up, how to export actions to whether to the action tracking system or to our compliance calendar for either corrective action or reoccurring action in order to ensure your site is in compliance with the new regulation. And hopefully after this, it will also take some time to identify who in your site will be using this application, and helping others establish quick views and perhaps get up to date on the Reg Tracker application. The second application we'll be going over today is the Reg Auditor application. This is similar to the inspection tool for those of you that have used it. The Reg Auditor will have a series of preloaded checklists based on federal or state or federal or state regulations, and so checklists will have automatically been created by our third-party content provider, RegScan. They'll be able to utilizing these checklists, you'll be able to perform inspections to ensure that you're meeting the compliance regulations tied to these checklists. So they're really used for auditing to ensure that you stay in compliance with the compliance categories. So after this training, you'll be able to assign out new reoccurring audits for these compliance checklists to track them, to report out on them, to see where your site is at in terms of meeting compliance on all of these checklists, and ensuring all the corrective actions that you found during these inspections have been closed out or worked on. And hopefully after this training, you'll start to develop an audit strategy that makes the most sense for your site, such as who is going to be performing audits, who is responsible for which areas, and also developing an audit schedule, or essentially using compliance calendar and assigning out as appropriate, and aligning Reg Auditor with your overall risk reduction program. So with that, we'll revisit these expectations after the training, just as a reminder. But right now, we can get into our first application, Reg Tracker. Here, just listing out some key capabilities, which I briefly mentioned earlier: alerting users to regulation changes as they occur every month, establishing subscriptions for email, so you'll be sent reminders of regulatory updates for the jurisdictions or the categories that report groups that you subscribe to. Currently, Reg Tracker in the past 12 months had over 2,800 plus regulatory updates, representing just US federal and the 28 states and 60 international jurisdictions. We have over 1,400 users subscribing to regulatory updates in this application, and 6,700 plus email subscriptions. Right now, the rest of the slides, I won't be going through every single slide. They contain step-by-step instructions that we'll be going over in our online demonstration. After this training, Taylor will send out an email with the slides so you can refer back to it in case you forget how to do any of the steps that we go over during our online demo. With that, I'm gonna jump online. So I believe everyone here should have used Gen Suites to some degree. You're familiar with how to get to your correct scope, how to access an application, whether you're searching for it on your dashboard or you're using the search bar at the top. So Reg Tracker will be available under the compliance assurance category, right next to Reg Auditor as well. if you go into Reg Tracker, the first thing you'll see is your main dashboard. This shows you um, the states or provinces or US federal that you've set on your filters. And your default view should be the default quick view that you've selected. Uh, so first I'll go over how to create quick views. What quick views really are you see these filters here where you can select whether like US regulations or like state regulations. And once this is selected, you can, once this is selected, you can select your report groups, whether it's air regulations, chemical management regulations, commercial motor vehicle, or pretty much any of the ones apply to that you will want to select them, and you can one moment, refresh. So if you hit show all states and provinces, you might see a lot of ones that don't apply to you, but right from the start, you should see all your US states, so you can just keep on the default filters. But let's say I want updates on Arizona, Arkansas, and California for everything related to management, safety, waste, and water. And you want to look back last 90 days, you can refresh it to get the update. It'll show you the list of updates or number of updates from that time period for these states and for this report group. Let's say I want to save this quick view. Then I can just hit this plus button for add personal quick view. This quick view to be for yourself. You can select the states here, select the report groups, safety, wastewater. You can provide a name. It's called AAC quick view. Provide a quick, give a name for your quick view. And then if you want, you can include this in your Reg Tracker emails. What happens is you're going to be subscribing to this email. So every time there is a new regulatory update for within Arizona, Arkansas, California for safety, waste, or water, it'll be sent to you in your monthly email. And if you want, you can default this preference to show in dashboard. What that means is every time you visit the Reg Tracker homepage, it will default to this view here. If at any time, you'll also be able to quickly switch through the quick views that are available. So you can just view what is applicable to you. So right from here, we can see that both Arizona and California has had an update in the last 60 and 90 days. If you want to see what these regulatory updates are, you just need to click the number and it'll provide you with a quick view of the different regulatory updates. So here we can see in Arizona, there's a new Department of Environmental Quality Water Pollution Control pursuant to 18 AAC. So this gives you a quick rough summary of what's been updated and the effective date. So this came out in 28th of January 2019 for water. If you want to know more about it, you can just click it, provide you the rest of the summary. And if you want to read the full regulatory update, you can just click this link that sends you to the RegScan site with the full details on this update. And so the name of agency, subject of notice, description, how to obtain draft permit documents, etc. And we also provided a brief description of the regulation and summary of information as well under these views. So from this page, you have several options on what next steps you want to take.
Yep. And Darren, with the quick view data filters, as it comes to the state and province, A question came through in chat, and they were curious if your state is not listed in there. What does that mean?
If your state is not listed, you can try showing all state and
Do show
provinces.
all.
There is a
Okay.
chance. What state are we talking about?
There was no example that came through. I just think one probably wasn't being displayed in that initial dropdown until you hit show all states and provinces.
Yes, this also tends to. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure if Sangaban was subscribing to. I don't think you're subscribing to international content, but all the U.S. states have been subscribed to.
Okay. Let's try North Carolina. I think that's an example. Okay, it looks like it's in there. So yeah, we would just need to hit.
I think there's a high chance that the default view will only show what we've recently received updates for, and
Okay,
North
that
Carolina
makes
may
sense.
not have had any. And so do know we've only recently started subscribing, or Sangaban's only recently subscribed to RegScan, so there's a high chance that any updates not part of this, not within the last 90 days, or might not be
Okay.
here. Uh, so from this page, several options. One, if you want to share this with someone else on your site, or you just have questions, you're not sure what to do with this new regulation, you can email it out to someone. You can search them by their name, and you can say something like, please view the updates below. Can you provide guidance or next steps, or can you take action to ensure we're in compliant with this new regulation that has been uploaded. You can mark this as red, or you can flag this for follow-up. What this does is when you view regulatory updates, you can see a list of all the updates you can flag for follow-up, so know you need to come back to this. Or pretty much you can leave things on unread if action needs to be taken, or once you're done with it, you can mark it as read. And we have two escalation options. One is to the action tracking system, most likely used if you want to perform a one-time corrective action assigned to someone. And then second is the calendar task. If you want to create potentially a reoccurring compliance calendar task, perhaps like maybe like a weekly inspection to ensure you're in compliance, or a monthly task, you can create a calendar task for it. Nothing's stopping you also from creating a once only calendar task if you prefer not to use action tracking system. To once when you export to calendar or ATS, you'll be able to select the site that is applicable to you. In my case, it'd be a demonstration. This this task would reference back to the Reg Tracker regulatory update. The task plan will automatically be uploaded with the summary of the regulatory update. And you see your task names automatically being populated. It is a regulatory obligation. What you'll need to do is provide a category for a task. You can set as a business priority or not. So pretty much adding like a normal calendar task, select the first task due date, any recurrences, and however you want to set up. And once you hit submit, you'll have a task submitted for this reg tracker item. Do we have any other questions so far in terms of receiving regulatory updates, setting up quick views, or what to do with them?
I haven't seen any additional questions come through on chat, so I think we're
Okay.
rocking and rolling. Yeah.
outside the dashboard, we do have like a quick report, regulatory updates report. What this does is pretty much same as the homepage, but you can select like a date range of the updates, your the location, and then a report group, and just view a report, and which also lists out the different regulatory updates. It tells you if this is like an update to a regulation or is it a new regulation, uh, the effective date, and just uh, general details on the update itself. At some point, I do want to mention that there's a very high chance that Sangaban will utilize RegTracker to publish Sangaban company-wide regulations, not just like federal or local uh, 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 regulations. And this one specific for the company, since they do have an option to add regulatory updates themselves manually. Um, so this can potentially be used by sites or the business itself uh, to publish new regulations that you want the site to uphold. And that's it for RegTracker. Ready to go. It is to be notified of regulations and um, to keep yourself updated on new regulations, ensure you're uh, performing some type of action in order to meet all the new regulations. Our second application is the Reg Auditor application. This is the application where you'll use to conduct compliance audits using these established country or like state or a specific regulatory checklists, which have all been created for the sites, pre-created for the sites to use by RegScan. Um, these checklists can be completed on desktop or mobile. If you have the Gentry mobile app, you can also conduct inspections on your mobile phone. These checklists will help you assess your site compliance against these standardized regulatory checklist questions, which are developed in a way to ask to just help ensure that you are in compliance. And by using these checklists, you'll also be able to identify the areas requiring corrective action, uh, which can be found while performing these inspections. And by performing all of these audits, these compliance audits, will have a good amount of data to provide like trend analysis for your sites, see if you're meeting all of your regulatory compliance needs, or if there are any areas that needs to be improved. So with that, I'm going to jump over to Reg Auditor. Same way to access the application from the homepage, search, or under compliance assurance. The first thing you'll see when you enter Reg Auditor for your site, you'll see your data filters, which allows you to filter out on the checklist for your site. And under each section, if you click it, you'll see a series of checklists. Every site might see something different. If you're a Canadian site, most likely you'll only see Canadian federal requirement checklists. Here, our demonstration site is currently marked to Ohio. So we see Ohio state regulation checklist and also a US federal checklist. Each of these checklists are designed in a way to help ensure you're meeting the regulatory requirements for perhaps like general air quality permits or like greenhouse gas reporting for US federal requirements. Each of the names should give you an idea of where this requirement is coming from. So when you go in, most likely it's set to a default view. You'll see everything that should be applicable to your site. And so the first thing you want to do really is to set up assignments for these checklists. It can be done in one of two ways. One, from this page, you can just, if you see a checklist that's you want to sign out, you can just hit the add another assignment button. You'll select the auditor that you want to complete the checklist for and provide a due date. If there is a chance like that this checklist is not applicable, then you might want to set it to not applicable. Otherwise, we also have a batch assign and batch applicability page under manage and update site applicability. Here you might want to select the checklist that you want to assign out or add applicability for. If it's applicable, you can set to yes, and you would select an auditor and set a due date for this, when this audit should be completed, any comments. And if you want to notify people, you can tick this checkbox. Everyone assigned a assignment will be notified once you hit update applicability. So here I've assigned a checklist to myself. Actually, I actually forgot which one I assigned to myself. That's, let's see, assigned auditor. Darren Chen. So I'm gonna just search for the ones that have been assigned to me so I can know which one it is. Psych. I have this air emissions management that was assigned to me previous. Oh, this one. Here you go. This was the one I should have just assigned under Darren Chen, not initiated. Due date of June, not June 28th, 2019. So here I can see my different assignments. If I want to initiate the checklist, then I would hit initiate checklist over here. So from right away, we see a table of contents, all the different sections for this checklist. You'll want to first fill out the audit details. This should be defaulted to like the organization and site that you're currently in. If there's a certain department you're inspecting, then you might want to select the department, otherwise you'll leave it at all. And the audit type, this is a self-assessment audit. I believe this audit type is going to get updated with different choices at a later time once it's confirmed with the Sangaban Gen Speed BA team, mostly Jonathan Sittler. But for now, I'm selecting self-assessment audit. You do have an option to view the saved checklist that others have completed in the past. But for now, I'm just gonna go into this one. So each checklist will one have a question such as this: do facilities comply with all the applicable state regulatory requirements not contained in the checklist, so outside this checklist. So if you expand the notes, it'll give you usually instructions on what you need to check or information you need to know in order to complete a question. And if you need to view additional details on the question or where this complies to, if you click this, while you're signing up on login, you should automatically be able to view this. As I'm from Gen Suite, and so RegScan is providing content to Sangabon. I don't have access to this, but you'll be able to see more details on the questions and the reasons behind the questions. So then we have like some other questions. So such as this one, are facilities prohibiting discharge of containments or other materials into the open air that create a public nuisance? And it'll tell you what to verify. So just additional notes. And you see separate links. Usually the one, I'm not 100% sure about the one leads like the rec scan information on this question, and one to the specific requirement details. So as we go through these questions, some of them might be not applicable, some of them might be compliant, or some of these questions might be non-compliant. You can provide a comment for all of them, whether they're not applicable or whether they're compliant. You can jot down any notes that need to be reviewed. If it's non-compliant, then we can add a finding description and corrective action in order to escalate to the action tracking system for corrective action, so that the next time this checklist is performed, it will be in compliance. So let's say this one, do facilities that plan to install a new source of air pollutants or to modify an existing air contaminant source meet specific construction authorization requirements. So finding, a very general finding might be does not meet. But that, if you want, you can input like multiple findings at once if needed and input them individually. But for our purposes, we just need one. You do have an option of submitting and leaving a checklist in progress if you're not ready to complete it, or you just want to step out and come back to it. You can submit your existing findings and then continue from where you left off. Once you submit, you'll be sent to the summary page. It'll give you a summary of how many questions there are, how many you selected not applicable, how many you selected compliant or non-compliant, and how many are still under evaluation. So currently, out of 2 out of 3 questions are compliant, and so we have a score of 67% right now based on that. This is only taking into account what you've answered as compliant or non-compliant. If you want to provide someone with a status update on where you are in your inspection, we can use the email current status feature. So I want to email, to say myself. You can provide a status or an update status or just a general message. Let's hit send. So this, I will send an email to myself on the status. You'll have the 2 export options. One, you can export these to Excel and get an Excel document of your findings. So this is details on the question, the finding description, and the corrective action, the finding citations. So you can refer back to. But if you're not looking for Excel and you want to keep everything within online Gen Suite, we would export to the action tracking system. I believe most of you should have or might have performed or added a ATS corrective action before, this is very similar. We have some required fields. Anything with an asterisk you need to fill out. You want to pick the category that this pertains to, if this is related to a specific department. Assign someone to close out this corrective action. A closure category, how many days do they have to close it? Let's say 60 days. Then you can export the action. And so I've created one in ATS. We can view it. It'll reference back the checklist and the question 3.1 from the air emissions Ohio checklist from RegAuditorTracker. So anytime from the homepage, I'll refresh this. You'll see that I have this in progress checklist that I've last updated today. If I need to come back to it, I can just click the status link and resume the checklist. And then I would fill out the rest of the checklist and submit for completion. We do have an option if you're interested in printing out the checklist. If there are situations where you might just need it for reference and you don't have access to a mobile phone. So once that's completed, we should see 100% completion next to that assignment, and then it'll give us some of the details such as how many findings we've exported to ATS or to an Excel. Do I have any questions on completing or assigning a checklist?
Aaron, one question did come through, and Gwen asked, are these audits available via a mobile device?
Yes, they are. So if you download GenSuite Mobile, you'll be able to access Reg Auditor. It is on your phone. Does everyone here have the GenSuite Mobile application? It should be available for Android or iOS. I'm sorry, Apple iOS. I take silence as a yes.
It sounds like everyone has it. But for everyone that's on the call with us today, feel free to go to the App Store once we're off the line here. You can download the application. You can access everything that we're looking at here right now. But on the application, you can also access the tools that you use on a day in and day out basis. So if you have safety observations, training tracker, training calendar, or even audit manager inspections, you have access to all of those on your mobile device as well. And that was the only question that I saw come through, Darren.
Okay, that's fine. So if typically on homepage, you'll only see the state and or like federal checklists that might be applicable to your site. So another place we can look at checklists that you might not be seeing is the Reg Auditor library if you want to perform an inspection outside of those requirements. So Jonathan, I think, has taken some time to create some applicability profiles, such as for installation, roofing, or siding. And I think he's still working on these, but what the RegR library has contains a list of all the checklists we have received from their party content provider, RegScan for Saint-Gobain. And so this might contain checklists outside of your state, right? And US regulations. Such as if you look at think most of these have been filtered out. They're still being worked on, but there should be a difference in what you see applicable based on these applicability profiles. So feel free to look through them. If you click one of these links, it'll automatically send you to a checklist to complete if you feel that it is applicable to you. So by completing these inspections, of course, I think the most important. Oh, one moment. So manage. If you ever want to see all the assignments you created, you can go to manage and view assigned checklist. So you can just see how many assignments you've created for your site to see what checklists you've covered. You can view this at the home page as well, but this page here just gives you details on what has been assigned. So a lot less information, but easier, cleaner view to see. So with all this details, then we'll want to make use of data mining. So unfortunately, we don't have a lot of checklists that have been completed on the Sangaban website. So I'm going to jump over to our demo site to get more details on the reports that are available. So several reports available. One, the checklist summary. This gives you a summary of all of your checklists, how many questions each checklist has, how many in progress assignments you have, how many complete assignments you have. And from all those assignments, how many times have you answered not applicable, compliant, or non-compliant? So pretty much a breakdown of every single checklist available. We do have filters, helps you filter down the criteria, so you're only pulling information applicable to you or your site. So our demo site doesn't have too much data as well, but here now and then we'll see some assignments not. Oh, here you go. So for example, you see this alcohol misuse prevention and anti-drug program with 8 assignments and 8 checklists in progress. And we've had 4 compliant questions, 16 non-compliant answered, and 164 questions under evaluation. I'm sure your statistics will be quite a bit different once you're actually utilizing the application. Some other reports we have include like a checklist details by question. This is similar to a checklist summary, except we're breaking down a single checklist. Question by so this one kind of has some data. So breaking down each question by question, you want to just break down a checklist, see number of times a certain question has been answered as compliant or non-compliant, and the percentage non-compliant rate, and how many, and the findings that still need to be explored for those questions. Next is assignment details. This is the information on the individual assignments that have been assigned on your site. So here we see I have 161 assignments. Most of them have not been initiated since our demo site hasn't been keeping up with the regulations. But this will give you a breakdown of all the assignments you've created if you want to just get a breakdown of that. And at the end, you're also able to create charts. You can create by get a chart of percentage of non-compliant questions based on perhaps a checklist, a single checklist. So we see that this hazardous materials chemical security planning 2018 has 17% non-compliance rate. So break down that. You can further break it out by like auditor or the audit types, or by department, sub-department, based on your needs. We have other charts like a percentage of complete assignments or a number of complete assignments, or just a chart by assignment completion status. Does anyone have questions on reporting?
No questions have come through so far, Darren.
Okay. So I think that really covers the basics of Reg Tracker and Reg Auditor. Reg Tracker is just to provide you details on all the new regulations, and Reg Auditor is used to perform audits of these regulations to ensure that you're in compliance and to create and schedule assignments for them. So I want to jump back and revisit the expectations. So hopefully after this, you as your site lead to help identify who will start using these applications, who will be responsible for helping to keep track of new regulations in Reg Tracker. It can help establish the quick views for your sites, and who in Reg Auditor should be assigned audits, what kind of audit strategy you want to develop to ensure that you're completing audits for all the checklists applicable for your site. And just start utilizing Reg Auditor to help reduce risk in your sites. I don't think Jonathan has joined this call. Am I correct, Taylor?
Let me check here. I don't think he's joined us. It does not look like he's on.
Yeah. I do believe additional Tara will be sending out the PowerPoint for everyone who wants to just review some things that we went over. I do believe Jonathan is also going to send out additional information in terms of updates on new expectations or additional next steps. But the hope is for everyone after this to really go into the applications, see for yourself how it's used, and then just determine how your site will start using these applications to track and perform audits for regulations.
Great. Thanks, Darren. Thank you for running through that with us. I know we covered a lot today, so everyone that's on the call, feel free to just keep an eye out for an email coming from me with a recording of the session and also all of the slides that Darren has pulled up on his screen here. Now, one thing I would recommend doing, and I know we touched on this earlier, if you don't currently have the mobile application, I would highly recommend going to the App Store or it's the Google Play Store and downloading it. You can have Gin Suite on the go right in your pocket. So I know I have it. It's fun to play around with. So feel free to download that. And of course, if you have any questions about what we covered today or really anything about Gin Suite or the applications that you're accessing on a day in and day out basis, don't hesitate in the slightest to reach out directly to me. You can also submit help me tickets off to your team back here, and we can help you out with really any questions that you have. I haven't seen any additional questions come through via the chat, or no one's unmuted themselves. So I wanted to thank you all again for taking the time out of your days to join Darren and myself to run through this edition of the Reg Tracker and Reg Auditor training. Now, we will have 2 additional trainings exactly like this on Thursday. The first one's at 11 a.m. Eastern, and the other one's at 2 p.m. Eastern as well. So if you have any questions that come up between now and then, feel free to join us on that call. We can answer your questions, or you can get another brief of both applications.